Good morning, beautiful people. I will not be live for very long, but I did want to at least cover a tiny bit of this thing that I wanted to really talk about this morning. So, as I've been for the past, couple days, I've been really trying to dive deeper into the economy and the numbers and like what did they tell us. And right now, and just as a brief overview, if you've watched my other videos, I've been talking a lot about just like the numbers in the economy. Because for those people who didn't happen to see it, I talked about how undocumented immigrants do not receive unemployment. They do not receive like Medicare. They only receive a limited amount of emergency Medicaid. And they also don't receive Social Security. I've also done a whole live stream where I talked about, where does the government spend money? There's mandatory spending, there's discretionary spending, how much of it is spent on the military versus education, all this stuff, where does the money actually go to? And yesterday I was talking a lot about farming and how right now a lot of cattle ranchers are pretty pissed about us deciding to, or the United States deciding to quadruple the low tariff import quota for foreign beef, and all these cattle ranchers are rightfully outraged. And the fact that these tariffs are causing a whole bunch of instability amongst our supply chain, particularly for soybeans, which is our biggest export crop. Like the United States, our biggest crop that we export is soybeans at 14%. And right now, China buys half of all of our soybean exports. And because of these tariffs that we placed on China, they put back a tariff on us. It makes our soybeans uncompetitive in pricing. And now China is looking elsewhere for soybeans. Meanwhile, other countries like Brazil and Argentina benefit because they can grow soybeans and sell it to China at a cheaper price because of the tariffs. And so there's a lot of economic instability that has been introduced on top of the growing amount of wealth inequality, the lack of affordability for young people entering the housing market, wages not going up, layoffs happening, AI getting involved and cutting out more people. So this is kind of just a perfect storm for an economic downturn. And there are officials that are citing between 75 to 93% chance that there will be a recession, which is really scary. Someone says, who are you talking to? Yeah, I'm talking to you, silly brain rot. But I just started the live stream. Usually it takes a while for some people to jump in here. But I also won't be live very long because I, as usual, spent a lot of time preparing and not enough time going live with stuff. But I did want to at least hop on for a little bit. So good morning, Kate. How's everyone doing? How many people we have in here? 24? Okay, so we're picking up. Yes, I am gay. Get over it. If all you can see about me is my sexuality, then that's creepy and that's on you. Okay, that's not the topic at hand. Why is my voice so high? I don't know. Why do you have a profile picture? I get into house. Yeah, right. So anyway, I wanted to start off with this. So I looked into this here and I'm just like, okay, here's some recent layoffs. Right now, with Doge doing massive layoffs for the federal government, you also have private companies that are doing the same. So, of course, companies go through growth and shrinkage, of course. So I'm going to dive into that here. So I saw this post on X, and like I always do, if I see something, I'm like, okay, let me go and actually verify, research it. What is it all about? Something that journalists should do is they should say, okay, there's an important difference between facts and opinion, or like facts and speculation. So I'm just going to provide you some important information here. So recent layoff announcements. UPS has decided to lay off 48,000 employees. That means 48,000 more homes that do not have a breadwinner or at least one income source coming in, meaning they might not be able to afford they might not even be able to afford, their medications or groceries or their housing or, all of their bills and stuff like that. That's significant. Amazon laying up to 30,000 employees, Intel laying up to 24,000 employees, Nestle 16,000, Accenture 11,000, Ford 11,000, Novo Nordisk 9,000. And when I think about it, like that's 9,000 people that don't have an income stream and are going to be struggling, strapped to find another position. So just I want to also humanize the numbers, because it's easy to just look at the numbers and like not think about what's behind them. So I asked Grok, I asked them, I said, what can you tell me about these massive layoffs across these companies? Are these jobs being replaced by AI? How many people are affected? How does this affect people's ability to affordably live in the United States? And so make sure to send some likes. I won't be live for very long, but I did want to do at least this special broadcast. I know that usually my live streams garner a lot more attention, but I only am going to be on for just a little bit here. I know it's a Friday and you're like, oh, this kid is talking about numbers, but I did want to at least share this with you. So make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. So the post that I shared there on X highlights a wave of recent layoff announcements across major U.S. companies, totaling over 150,000 jobs based on figures listed. And so you're looking at this, that's 150,000 jobs that have been lost by all these major companies. Now, if you're like, okay, well, who are you to blame? I'm not here to tell you who to blame. If you want my opinion, I think it's a combination of the decisions that have been made within government and the greed of corporations to always prioritize their profit margins for their shareholders, not really caring about the people in the process. That all being said, what are we seeing here? Well, 150,000 jobs being cut. These cuts are a broader trend in 2025, where the United States, U.S. employees have announced nearly 950,000 job reductions through September, up 55% a year to date since 2020, or up 55% from the same period in 2024, and the highest year to date since 2020. So unemployment is really, really skyrocketing. You have Doge going through, and you have private companies that are laying off people. So just to put it in perspective, we have in the United States, I have to double check this, but we have like 330 or so, I think it's 330 million people. And so having it almost be 1 million jobs lost, that's like 1 in every 330 people. Like, that might seem like minuscule, but on a grand scheme, that's big. That's huge. This surge reflects a weakening labor market, with non-farm payroll growth averaging just 29,000 jobs per month in recent quarters, down from 82,000 a year ago. And part of that is also due to Donald Trump trying to, deport all these people, not offering them livelihood, for instance. Factors including post-pandemic overhiring corrections, rising costs like tariffs and inflation, slowing consumer demand, and heavy investments in AI and automation are also big contributing factors here. So I know it's like, oh my God, this is crazy, but let me give you the real reason why. It's much more complex. You have the government and these private companies are laying off these people in order to protect the profits for their shareholders, which is their primary reason, because they're always looking to make more and more money. They don't really care too much about the people. And then you also have AI coming in and doing that. We might have an AI bubble burst at some point. People's unemployment going up, affordability becoming unattainable for a lot of folks. A lot of young people not able to actually get into the housing market and stay in renting apartments is leading to a lot of economic instability there. But let me just give you an overview. Or I just give you an overview. But these isolated incidents are not alone. And specifically tech has shed over 108,000 jobs in 2025, while retail and manufacturing face tariff pressures and the electric vehicle market slumps. So the total people affected by the post that I put up here with all these companies is 150,000 people. And to really kind of put this in perspective, this post on X has millions of views, 21 million views. So this is something that obviously people are really like, oh my God. The posts list adds up to approximately 150,444 jobs. And you look at this represents a snapshot of a high-profile announcements in late 2025, but the full U.S. picture is grimmer. Over 946,000 announced cuts through September, potentially exceeding 1 million by the end of year's date. For example, you have places like UPS. They're trying to do cost-cutting amid declining shipment volumes, but also they're talking about how they're beating revenue, but their stock is down. Already occurred in the last 9 months. You can see here 14,000 management, 34,000 operational drivers and warehouses. So with AI, what they're doing is they're displacing people's jobs, but they're also still making high profits. And that's going to lead to a lot of problems. Another thing is the tariffs. Like Ford, these companies that build cars, that import specific parts to build their cars here in America, are suffering in that too. So EV production pauses, like the F-150 Lightning aluminum shortages, restructuring, smart redesign, thousands temporary at Kansas City plant, cuts for cost control amongst weak sales. And you have places like Microsoft that are doing lots of AI investments. So revenue is up 18% year to date, but the cuts that they do in declines in their workforce are actually funding the AI pivot. And that's also really scary. Like they're cutting people's jobs in order to fund this AI pivot, which I totally understand. But you also have to think about the people behind the positions, and what does that do for the economy? And numbers can be fudged to tell you certain things. So you're like, oh yeah, we're seeing remarkable growth at our company. Yeah, but who does that benefit? Does it benefit the people that are working there? Does it benefit the top 1%? Does it benefit the shareholders or the CEO? Or is it actually benefit the workers? And so sometimes I get mad when economists only look at specific numbers about like, look at all this money coming in. I'm like, yeah, but does the money actually go to the workers, to the people? It doesn't trickle down. So you have to look at the broader overall picture. You also see Salesforce. AI agents are now handling about 50% of interactions, redeployed to some sales. CEO says, I need fewer heads for efficiency. That means that you need to lay off people in order to make even more money, which I just think I understand, but it's so inhumane in that sense. So a broader theme is, are these jobs being replaced by AI? And it says, yes, it plays a part, but it's not its significant role. And so also, please make sure to send some likes. I appreciate every single one of you. I know that we don't have as many people in here as usual, but I wanted to at least talk about this just for a little bit today. And for the people who all you have to say, oh my God, for a second, hold on. If all you have to say is trying to say something about my voice or my appearance, you're a creep. You're weird. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, I'm here talking about the economy, and all you can think of is, oh my God, I don't like this guy. I just don't like him. So let's just make fun of his voice or appearance. Are you proud of yourself? Like, do you go to bed at night thinking that you're a good person? Sweetheart, that doesn't matter. I forgive you. That doesn't matter. Mind your own business. If you don't like me, scroll on. If you don't like me for dumb reasons, scroll on. Cool. So going forward here, are these jobs being replaced by AI? Yeah, AI plays a significant role, but it's not exclusive. You also have other things that are affecting our economy, like tariffs, and the rising cost of everything, inflation. You have shrinkflation. The affordability has become unattainable. So you have all of these factors kind of conglomerating into one. And AI displaces routine roles like support, middle management, and it creates demand for AI skilled jobs, though it's not the cuts to all the jobs that are replaced by AI is not enough to offset the people that you would hire to run the AI for that. So it leads to people losing their livelihoods. So these layoffs, and this is how it affects housing affordability. Median home prices are around $400,000. And what's interesting is about 1 in 4 American households can afford a $400,000 home. The rest can't. That's just crazy. These layoffs exacerbate an already strained housing market where affordability has hit crisis levels. You have increasing unemployment, job insecurity, drops buyer confidence, existing home sales fell 5.4% in August of 2025. Dual income households buffer some, but single earners, tech and middle management are hit the hardest. But affordability remains poor. Only 1 in 4 households can afford median homes, which a median home price is around $400,000. So obviously that is really, really hard. And specifically, this affects renters and young people like myself. You know, we are still trying to pick ourselves up, and it's tough trying to go out and get enough money to afford a home. And with AI coming in and displacing people's jobs, not hiring enough people in return to run those AI, you're displacing people, unemployment goes up, affordability continues to strain, and the tariffs basically throw a monkey wrench in negotiations in order for sales to continue, and it makes the whole system much more economically disadvantageous for working class people. Bigger companies can profit by record-breaking sales and a lot of money concentrated in the top executives and the shareholders, but it struggles for people at the bottom, the working class, the middle class people. And so the labor market's low hire, low fire stall signals caution, but resilience. For example, 261,000 jobs added in October tempers recession fears. So there is some growth, but it doesn't mean that it's enough growth to offset the negative effects. So as of October 31st, today, which happy Halloween, the U.S. economy is showing clear signs of strain. Growth is slowed to an annualized rate of about 1.8% for the year, which is down 2.7% for earlier forecasts, which has been driven by persistent inflation, cooling labor market, unemployment going up, and policy shocks like tariffs. And so 22 states plus Washington, D.C. are already experiencing localized downturns with job losses spreading rapidly. And you have some economists that are saying, hey, it looks like UBS is pegging odds at 93% of a recession incoming based on May, July data, and probably going to continue with October and soon to be November data. Prediction, there are some people who say that it's going to be less than that, but we shall see. But I at least wanted to point all of that out here. Right now, you're having huge cuts by companies coming through, and I'm keeping a look on this closely. If this was at least helpful to give you a little bit of a snapshot, there's a significant chance of an economic recession incoming in 2025. Is what the economy indicators are showing. And the thing that makes me upset is there are clear victors and clear losers when it comes to the economy. I always get so frustrated by the concentration of wealth that goes to the top 1% and the people who are like the shareholders or the people who run the company. And that money doesn't benefit or go to the workers that produced all of that wealth, you know? So I just get frustrated by the concentration of wealth so much at the top. And we in America need to be more on the same page with trying to pay working class people more instead of browbeating the people who basically run the economy. So anyway, I have to get to work. I appreciate every single one of you. I know this was a short little broadcast. So I appreciate every single one of you. So Anyway, just remember, shout out to my amazing moderators in here. I think, Kate, you may have been the only mod in here. But yeah, I love each and every single one of you. Cherie, Kate, Elisa, Ellie, Akicha, Kantisa, Joanna Tech. I love all of you so much. So just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye.